What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.
Welcome to Summer Sports, where we cover off what is happening in summer sport around the Nelson Tasman region. And joining me at the moment as well, I'd say my co-hosts, but we've been abandoned this week, Les.
Yep.
Santa Claus is going mad, so he's...
So Paul Bryden's missing the boat this week, but
Yeah.
I'll try and ask as many questions as I can and keep the football segment especially entertaining.
your knowledge of the football and your knowledge of the cricket we need, Les, this week. So
Yeah, the cricket I can help with. My football is limited, but hey, let's get into it later and do that.
our very special guest is Maria Howes, who is the regional tennis coordinator in the Nelson Tasman region, and she joins us by the phone. A very good morning to you, Maria. How are you?
Morning, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. I've previously in a past life spoke to your predecessor, Ali, who I believe's got a New Zealand role now. Is that correct?
She does. She's in charge of all the club development, which is great. It's a great role for Ali. So, yeah, very excited to still be in touch with her and
Great.
having her on the team, but on a different role this time.
I'm sure she's not, but hopefully there's a little bit of favoritism towards the Nelson Tasman region. Going on.
So, yeah.
First of all, Maria, can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you hail from?
So I'm originally from Uruguay. In South America. So although a large part of my family is Italian, Spanish and Swiss as well. So a bit of a mix there. So I lived in Uruguay until I finished my studies, which I was probably around 22. And then I moved to Europe, where I met my husband, who is a Kiwi. He's from Nelson originally.
Right.
So, yeah, and then we moved to New Zealand. But I've always been involved in sports as a child and a teenager. I played tennis and I competed at a high level as well, playing hockey and athletics. So, yeah, very sporty.
So was that in Uruguay, Maria?
It was, yeah.
So is tennis reasonably popular in Uruguay?
It is, but I would say it's more for the upper class, which is really sad to see. Now it's changed a bit, but tennis had always been a part of my life. When I was a kid, my dad and my granddad used to play at a high level when they were in their teenage years, and then later in life as veterans as well. My dad was a chemical engineer, but after retirement, he took over the role as CEO for the Uruguayan Tennis Association until his passing 3 years ago. So I've always been around tennis. Like I remember when I was really young going to Davis Cups, when just watching dad and granddad and just getting on court, the clay courts over there. So, yeah.
Is it more of a clay court in Uruguay? Is that the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the whole of South America is more clay.
Yeah.
Like Europe.
So perform well at the French Open.
Yes.
Who are some of the famous names from Uruguayan tennis?
Oh, now it's Pablo Cuevas. I think he's getting quite up there. He's a good player, but he'll be in his late 30s, I would think. But we had a few good players. I don't know if they were quite famous at the time when I was a kid. Like I used to look up to them, Marcelo Filippini. But yeah, I'm not sure if they were, but in the 90s, if there would have been much airtime worldwide for those names. Now it's a bit different with social media. There's so many, everyone gets access to all of the tennis players. Like there's quite a few from Argentina coming up, and that they are on the circuit, like, Diego Schwartzman. He was in the top 10, and so there's quite a few good names that come from South America. Uruguay is not particularly good with funding, I suppose, so it's really hard to make it into the ATP circuit if you don't have that finance support behind you.
And so you mentioned your father played Davis Cup. So what are some of the countries that you managed to watch your father play against?
To be honest with you, I can't even remember because I was very, very young.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I just wonder whether New Zealand and Uruguay had any clashes over the years. So.
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
So, Maria, what year did you come to Nelson and with your husband? And did you immediately join a local tennis club to make some social acquaintances?
So we moved back to Nelson in 2009, and then we left. We were here briefly, just for a year or so, and then we moved to Australia. We moved back to Uruguay. We traveled a little bit. So once I moved to Europe, I didn't really touch a racket and went to do different things. So a bit of a break from the sport until probably about 2017, when my son Liam decided to give the sport a try when he was 7 years old, and we were living in Brisbane in Redcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah, so after that, that's when I got involved in the sport again, but more as a parent at our local club, Richmond Tennis Club, where after probably 2018, I was heavily involved mostly with junior tennis at the Richmond Tennis Club. I was the junior convener. And then I took over eventually as the junior convener for NBTA, for the Nelson Based Tennis Association. And then in 2022, I took over as the regional coordinator, which is the role that I'm doing now.
Right. So that was that connection with the regional role you got roped into doing with your background, quite a bit of coaching on that junior level side, and it broadened from there. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not really coaching. It's just liaising with the coaches on, what teams the juniors are going to go when they play into club. Just make sure that the juniors are being heard for whatever they need. And then I was running tournaments for the club as well, which is quite fun. So it was more on that perspective. I'm not a coach.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. I didn't really do any coaching. It was just liaising with the coaches really and the junior convener from the association.
But one of the common themes that we often find when we interview, I guess, the general managers or administrators of sport is the family background. Often when you dig deep, their family's been previously involved in similar types of roles. So it's almost like you can't get away from it. So your father ended up obviously playing, but also from the administration side of things as well. And it's almost like you're born into it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost a way to give back to the community, especially where like the club is really good for my son. And I just feel like I need to give back, to get involved in a different way. I can't really play at the moment because I've got a youngest daughter as well, and she's not really into it yet. Yeah. So it's hard, if I try to play, I need to get a babysitter because my husband works, long hours. And so it's tricky at the moment. I feel like it's not my time to get back on the sport. It's when the kids are teenagers that I'll be able to go back to it.
So in your role, Maria, you're pretty much at the coalface. So tell us about tennis in the region. Is it in a good position? Are numbers strong, club strong?
We are facing some challenges at the moment, but there are also some positive signs for the future of the sports. The numbers, in terms of numbers for our local and senior interclub competition, they're still going up, which is great. Junior tennis is a bit different. Although the local interclub competition numbers are up from last year, kids participating in tournaments are definitely down. I don't think this is a Nelson thing. It's throughout the country. Mm. So there's several problems we're facing. Tennis in school, we're trying to change the model of how it's done to try and make it a bit more appealing for the kids and for the parents as well. Kids get so many options these days, don't they? Mm-hmm. They just get every sport available to be played at school, and they're all team sports. So it's really hard to compete as an individual sport with a team when you have a team behind you. So yeah, and we also have 12 clubs in Nelson's, which seems like a lot for the population. So it's it's all very segregated at the moment. So it makes things a little bit more complicated. But we have a lot of great coaches in this region, but at the same time, they're all really busy as well with their own programs. So as an association, we would love to be able to run more events like training camps and creating more opportunities for the members, but we don't even own any facilities. And we don't have a head coach either. So it's trying to make it all work as a team. So it's really challenging, but we're getting there.
So
we're making progress.
A lot of the programs that you're rolling out, you're working with each individual club individually, trying to get the New Zealand Tennis Initiative through. Would that be correct?
Yeah, so all the clubs, they do that. They do cardio tennis, the Hot Shots program. We run a really good Hot Shot series, which is like the entry level of tournaments. So it's all modified, like they use the low compression balls, which are super hittable, and it makes it a bit more easier for kids to get into it. And also the scoring is different. So, the scoring in tennis is complicated for a little kid. So it's all modified to make it a bit easier as an entry level. So we run a really good series of tournaments. I think we have 9. And in the season, which starts in about October and it finishes in April. So that's really good, and it's really popular with kids. As a way to start, there's also cardio tennis and Tennis Express, which is like a crash course of tennis for adults, which is amazing, and it gets a lot of people that are a bit intimidated by going into a club where everyone knows how to play. Tennis is a sport that you need a bit of coaching to be able to play it. You can't just rock up and expect to play a match. It does require a bit of coaching. So Tennis Express is fantastic, and the coaches here in Nelson, they do a great job getting those programs out to people.
Because it is a sport that when you're a bit longer in the tooth and you might have, the odd bad knee or what have you, I mean, there's a little bit of impact on the court, but on the whole, you can carry on playing tennis, for quite a few years at your own pace, can't you? It is a sport that has longevity.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We have people that go to social tennis in their 90s. It's quite remarkable. They only play doubles. Obviously, singles is a different story because it requires a lot more movement. But doubles, you can play at any age, and it's super fun, and it's social as well, which a lot of adults, there has to be a social aspect to it. Otherwise, a lot of people are not attracted to it.
And there's also Masters tournaments, isn't there? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then the vets, they get together as well. The Nelson veterans, they get together as well. They've quite a large crew that they get to Hope Tennis Club. So that's really good as well. So and the vets tournament have the tournament usually the first week in March, and that gets a lot of people.
So I was going to say, there's still hope for Les and I, isn't there?
What was that, sorry?
There's still hope for Les and I.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw a video recently of Billie Jean King. She just celebrated her 80th birthday, and they had some video of her still playing tennis. The eye on contact on the racket, ball on. She had her head down. She had to follow through. Still looked like she could beat me.
Yeah, definitely. I think she beat us all.
Yeah, that's right. So tell us about, what are some of the work-ons for you? What are you hoping to achieve over the next couple of years?
Well, over the next couple of years, we're looking at like I was saying, the new model for tennis in schools. But we have been struggling with funding. Funders are all changing their focus and criteria for grant applications, which means that we have to rely more and more on business sponsorships to fund programs. But we are very, very grateful for MBS, Tallies and Kia, because without the support, tennis in our region will not be possible. So And other things that we're sort of chipping away at is we would love to have indoor courts. It's a very long term, but we're trying to head into the right direction.
Fantastic.
So Maria,
participation in trying new ways to attract people to a sport. There are new sort of modified tennis coming up. Pickleball, have you guys heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah, so Richmond Tennis Club, they're just in the process of resurfacing 2 of the courts to put 6 pickleball courts. So, there's quite a large following here in Nelson and in Collingwood as well. At the moment, they play indoors in the badminton hall just between the Richmond Tennis Club and the Jubilee Park. So that's another sort of introduction that could potentially lead to tennis as well.
Well, actually, I was talking about that with someone at Walking Football. They'd just come during the week from playing, we used to call it paddle tennis in our day, but what do they call it now? Pickleball, is that right? Right.
Yeah, so it's like more like instead of a racket, you use like a square bat.
Yes. Well, we used to call it paddle tennis at school, and you just put a couple of bench seats across the line, and in fact, they had courts. I remember at Nelson Intermediate, and we used a tennis ball still, but I know the ball's different here. So that was quite popular growing up. So it's kind of like a version of that, really. But I was speaking to. He would have been, I'd say, in his 60s, played out Richmond during the week. And we did start talking about, where would you play it in Nelson? Where would be a good venue to play it in Nelson? So that conversation came up.
Oh, yeah. I remember they had walking tennis at one of the clubs at some point. Yeah, when he was wet, I think. And it was quite interesting to see. It's great that they're trying to find different ways of getting people active, even if it's not, how you normally would play the sport, like modified versions. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So Maria, Christmas is coming up rapidly. Do you have any events this side of Christmas? And more importantly, what have you got happening in the new year?
So we do. We have a cross-gen tournament, which is a parent versus child tournament. It's a really fun event. The focus is Christmas, so we have prizes for the best dressed, and it's such a fun day. It's on Saturday, the 16th of December, and it's going to be held at Hope Tennis Club. Okay. January is a relatively quiet month for tennis in Nelson, but then by the time February comes, is the second half of the interclub season resuming for both junior and senior interclub. Our Hot Shot series return on the 11th of February, and that one is in March. And on the same date, we have the under-18 fixture against Marlborough, the Blair Cup, and that will be held at Richmond Tennis Club. The following weekend, we will have another fixture. It's a senior fixture, this one. It's the Winstanley Shield. That's a triangular between Nelson, Marlborough, and West Coast, and this will be held in Blenheim. On the 23rd, we'll have the secondary schools tournament. So this is a team event open to all colleges. I think last year, we had over 120 entries, which was a record for the college tournament. So it was great to see so many kids on court. On the 24th of February is the Wakefield Hot Shots tournament. And the first weekend of March, we have the Vets tournament at Hope Tennis Club. So it is a really busy summer for our sport, and lots of opportunities at a club level, which they usually have their open days as well to non-members, so it's the perfect time to give tennis a go.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a nice, warm, hot summer, Maria, so a good chance to get outside and give it a crack.
Definitely.
And you have a website, Maria?
A what, sorry?
A website where people can...
Yeah, it's www.tennisnelson.co.nz.
All right, brilliant. So everyone can have a look at that schedule online and get out and about.
We have an online calendar, so you can have a look at all the dates and get in touch. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to help.
Awesome, Maria. Well, look, we really appreciate taking the time out to give us a chat and tell us what's going on with tennis in the region. And I know, Ali was always enthused about the amount of kids that used to get involved and the chance to try something a bit different. So it's great that it's in good hands for the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All the best, Maria. Cheers. That's Maria Howes, who's the regional tennis coordinator for the Nelson Tasman region. So there you go, Les. So time to dust the old racket off out of the cupboard.
Yeah, it's not a sport that I play at all, really. But
No.
What she talked about with coaching in the area.
Yeah.
Lots of good coaches. I remember my eldest daughter, at one point wanted to have a go at tennis, and
Yeah.
she got coached by Alistair Cotterill.
Oh, right. Yes.
And
yes.
he taught her the basics and taught them well. So if she wants to pick up a racket, at least she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. And the great thing about tennis is that, there are courts around the place. So if you just feel like a casual hit around, there's those options. But it is quite social too. And I remember younger playing it. Every Sunday you're playing doubles, and that was enough fun. And then if you wanted to go off and play interclub, you could at a higher level. So I think it's quite an accessible sport, that's for sure. So, but yeah, good to see that those programs that Ali brought into play have been carried on by Maria from Uruguay. So interesting to hear about the Uruguayan background in tennis over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was that's called Not Bad to Have a Dad who's played Davis Cup.
Yeah,
tennis,
no.
Yeah, it was a really enjoyable chat.
Yeah. You're summer sport, and let's have a look to see what's on the agenda for this weekend. Nelson Softball Association, and 12 o'clock Diamond 1, Marist Wairua versus the USC R&B in the senior women. So have you had a chance to catch up with the girls, how they're getting on?
No, I haven't seen a game yet,
Right.
and I'm still not getting the results, but I do know that the ladies are loving it, that they really enjoy the sport, and I don't think they care. It's a participation sport for them, and they don't need spectators. But what I will say is it's a 12 o'clock start, and our Christmas party's at 2 p.m, the Marist Christmas party at 2 p.m. So I'll need the ladies to get their game, get a win early, and pop into town.
Somehow I don't think they'll miss that, Les. At 2 o'clock, it's USC Blackhawks taking on the Purple Eagles, senior women, Diamond 1. Diamond 2 into the senior men at 12 o'clock, USC Cardinals taking on USC Pirates. And at 2 o'clock, we've got the USC Cardinals again, doubleheader, taking on the USC Titans, senior men. Saints, Rams and Stoke Eagles both have a bye. So there you go. Good luck
Big
to the
weekend
team.
for the United Club.
It is indeed. And looking at senior men's cricket and the results from round 5, this was the second day, and Nelson College taking on Waimea Toi Toi, and it looks like a win to Waimea Toi Toi in the first innings. Nelson College were 10 for 55 and then 10 for 141 all out, I should say. And Waimea Toi Toi quite comprehensive there, 126 for 10 and 197, 6 declared. That was in the first innings, wasn't it? So they won on the first innings result. But quite a few Nelson College teams in the lower grades as well, and managed to put a senior team together to compete in the senior men's league. So that puts them in good stead for the future.
They'll be happier with that second innings.
Yeah. Wakatu, New World, Nelson City, they were all out for 142 and all out for 53. Geez. And Wolves, comprehensive win there. They'll be happy with that. Wolves, 277 for 9. So a real comprehensive win there. They were sitting third on the table and Wakatu were above them. So they'd be very happy with that result. Nelson Athletic College Old Boys were 131. They only had 9, so they had to declare on that first innings, and then all out for 103. And Stoke, comprehensive win there, 8 for 2, 169.
Yep, that was day 2 at the Botanics.
Yes, it was. And so Stoke still sitting well and truly on the top of the ladder. And then what happened during the week was that there was a T20 series. They've started. Nelson College got 147 4-7 after 20, but Wolves picking that up, carrying on their good form, 161 4-7. Wakatu New World, Nelson City, 6 for 116, and then Stoke Nayland doing it quite easily, 119 for 1.
Yeah, good partnership there somewhere.
And then Waimea Toi Toi, 8 for 128, and Nelson Athletic College Old Boys, they'll be pretty happy with that because they've been having a tough time managing to do it with only 2 out, 129. So starting to get their eye out.
2 one-sided games and a real close tussle at Brightwater Domain for Nelson College.
Yeah. Then we're on to actually this weekend, Saturday, it's round 7, and we're into the one-dayers. And Wakatu New World Nelson City are taking on Nelson Athletic College Old Boys at Victory Square, and that's going to be interesting because it looks like Old Boys got their eye out on the T20, but Wakatu will be wanting to make a comeback. Waimea Toi Toi are taking on Wolves at Jubilee Park, and Nelson College is going to be a tough one for them, taking on Stoke Nayland at Ngawatu Park. And round 8, which is the following Wednesday, there's another T20 round. And we've got Athletic College Old Boys taking on Wakatu, Nelson College taking on Stoke Nayland, and Waimea Toi Toi taking on Wolves. So if you get a chance, it's 5:30 start after work, so you get along there and watch a T20. So that would be quite enjoyable on a warm, balmy night.
And a game out at Mapua Domain.
Yeah.
Nelson College versus Stoke Nayland.
Yeah.
So the Mapuans can get out and have some twilight cricket watching.
That'd be awesome. It's great ground there too. Just on the national and international front, Central Stags are taking on Otago Volts on today. In actual fact, it's under progress at the moment. We've got Friday, Northern Districts under 19 taking on Central Districts under 19. This Saturday, Central Hinds taking on the Otago Sparks is at Queen's Park, and we've got Otago Sparks taking on Central Hinds the next day on Sunday, both one-day matches. And then Central Stags play again on Tuesday the 12th against Northern Districts at Cobham Oval. And then on Tuesday, on that same day, actually, the White Ferns taking on Pakistan Women again, needing a bit of a comeback there. First time they lost to Pakistan. So, a good win for Pakistan. Yeah, it was.
Obviously, Amelia Kerr will be back for the White Ferns, which will help them. I think she's probably there. And certainly one or two best batters in the lineup, and add some leg spin, so they'll welcome her back from the final over in Australia, and then mate, the test that's in progress.
Well, I went to sleep and I thought, oh, that's not bad. They all out for it looks like 172. I woke up this morning and it was 4 for something at one point, and now the latest score that I've seen here 5 for 55.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Mate, it's disappointing, isn't it? Because you would think that 172, you're in with a good chance. You just need your top order to settle in there. But I think their seamer bowled one over, and then they brought their spinners on. And clearly we're not playing well to the spin. I watched highlights this morning. Devon Conway left an arm ball that took his off stump out. Henry Nichols, that's the key for me. He's just out of form, this boy.
Right.
And I would have thought that this test was an ideal opportunity to bring Ravindra into that top order. It couldn't do any worse. Henry Nichols has had a woeful last 15 tests. He's scored less runs than our number 11, Ajaz Patel, and a worse average. So, if your number 11's out batting your number 4, then it's time for a change, isn't it?
There's definitely criticism because it's starting to hit the headlines, and a couple of the coaches were interviewed about why isn't there selection changes, and they're talking just we've always held faith in the boys, and you just got to work yourself through it. But if someone's in form, I feel you got to throw them in there, especially when we're as you said last week, there's points on the board here. There's no way we're going to make a international test final if we're going to drop those those tests that we should really be picking up. But obviously it's a tough track, and Bangladesh know how to play it well.
Yes, their spinners are very, very good at home. What we will need this afternoon from 4:30 is to watch Mitchell and Phillips.
Yeah.
Hopefully bat for more than 5 overs and put some runs on.
Well, isn't he having to do that all the time, Mitchell? Yeah. And he can't do it all the time, Yeah. But there you go. Cross fingers, and we're certainly looking forward to the Black Caps arriving home, and we've got a game in Nelsonville, which we're looking forward to on the 20th. New Zealand football, and there was an international break. New Zealand women taking on Colombia. That was on Sunday, and that wasn't a bad result considering Colombia are a good side. So that was 0-0. They're well above them on international rankings. And then yesterday, I guess probably a disappointment from New Zealand point of view after that good result previously, but going down 1-0 to Colombia, probably not too bad in the whole scheme of things. So, yeah. Then the A-League men, and boy, aren't they doing well, and officially sitting at the top of the table. There's no games in hand. They're 2 points ahead on the top of the table. And I don't think anyone would have predicted that this season. So great win against Western United, who actually I thought played a pretty good game. They certainly challenged our goal, but our goalkeeper is just playing out of his skin at the moment. So 1-0 win to Wellington Phoenix, hanging in the game and getting a score towards the end of the game. But it doesn't get any easier on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Good TV times on at the moment. Wellington home to the Newcastle Jets. So that'll be a tough game.
Yeah, and there's not much sport on at 7:30 on a Saturday evening, so that's a good one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been keeping in touch with the Phoenix women a bit.
Yeah, they had, after that 2-1 win over Perth Glory on the 25th of November, they've had the weekend off, but they're back in action, playing the first game. And that'll be on television as well, hosting Melbourne Victory. So, looking forward to seeing the girls continue some pretty decent form.
Yeah, unfortunate to lose one of their regular players.
Yes, that very interesting. The vice captain deciding that the demands on her time and the lack of remuneration for those demands, and some falling out, it seems, with team management, has led to one of their top players deciding not to carry on.
Yes.
And this morning, her captain expressed some surprise about that, but wishes her well.
Yeah, and I don't, the New Zealand-Australian game would be difficult if compared to competing and playing professionally in US and Europe. There'd definitely be more money over there. Someone mentioned about 35K. An ex-All-White was saying that was probably about the average salary. And I don't know how you can commit yourself full-time to that sport at that level on 35K these days. So I think the point was that I can carry on putting all this time into it, but financially, and probably wanted to pursue more lucrative deals somewhere. But anyway, cross fingers, lucrative. Wellington Phoenix are going well. Things on this weekend, and for mountain biking, we've got the Gorge Club Koha Day. That's on Saturday, all day. So more details there, nelsonmountainbikeclub.co.nz. And our favourites are the pub runs, which we watch from the car. Meeting at Founders, and it is a 6.5K. They're calling this an undulating course.
Yeah, they're all undulating.
Even if they're like this.
Gentle, popular undulating course. So, hey, look, what a great thing to do if you love a run.
Yeah.
Founders, of course, is a great place to start, but more importantly, a very good place to finish.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can walk this, so there's no pressure on doing it in race time. For walkers, it starts at 3:45, and also runners, that if you just want to go at your own pace, you can start a bit earlier, and then runners at 4 p.m. So good luck to that. nelsonathletics.co.nz. And here's one, and we'll get these guys in the new year. Volleyball Tasman, they actually have quite a comprehensive program, both at secondary school level and otherwise. There's beach volleyball coming up as well. the Kaiteri Classic's always a great one, which they play on the estuary. They have to wait for the tide to go out. But yeah, big history. So we should get them in the new year to have a chat to them more about what's happening with volleyball. And they do pretty well on the national front. And at the moment, it's day 3 of the Australian Schools Cup. So teams, secondary school teams from Nelson travel over there. And Nayland College girls had won their match today, or they had a match today and they won it. They played their second pool matches tomorrow, and they sit near the top of the leaderboard at 4 games to zip. So they're going really well behind Caramel College, who haven't lost yet either. So on course potentially there for finals. So the Nayland girls going really well, and Waimea boys wrapped up day 3, 1 win and 1 loss. The boys finished 3rd in their pool, 4 games 1-2, and have qualified for the top 8 playoffs. So, this is against schools right around from Australia. So they're doing really, really well.
Yeah, well done to Nayland and Waimea colleges.
Yeah. Next week, we're hoping to talk to Touch.
Rugby?
Touch Rugby, and big comp down at Tahuna. I noticed there was a tournament down there a couple of weekends away, and I was wondering how the numbers were going, but obviously things are going pretty well there.
Yeah, Wednesday evenings at Jubilee Park.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, Tahuna Touch. So, yeah, good number of teams.
Yeah.
I think there's 24 teams.
Right.
So, yeah,
and
we'll look forward to having a chat.
Marist got a few in there, is that right?
Yeah, we've got about 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. So we're hoping to catch up with them next week and have a chat about Touch going into a busy schedule over the summer period. It's already been busy, but I'm sure, and I know that they're currently training with the Nationals, so the national underage teams are starting to put the hard yards in. So it'd be interesting to see what they've got coming up.
Looking forward to that chat very much.
Oh, now, Sevens have been keeping an eye on...
just keeping an eye on the New Zealand Sevens. So the Black Ferns Sevens made the final, earned themselves a silver medal in Dubai. The men won the bronze, so they jump on a plane. They're off to Cape Town. So the second leg of the new series is underway this weekend. Cape Town.
Yeah. Geez, I watched, I haven't seen all the highlights. I'll have to see them, but watched a bit of the Australian girls against the Kiwi girls. And geez, there's some talent in the Australian side. Yeah, they're a strong side.
And they were young ladies who were projects.
Yeah.
Only a couple of years ago. So, again, you get talent into a camp and good coaching and good culture, and you can create a winning team very quickly. So our ladies are going to have to be on their toes, but they're a good side. They've just lost their skipper, Sarah Hirini, unfortunately with a knee injury, so she's not going to Cape Town. But our own Mutueka Reese Pori Lane is in the ladies team, so we'll keep an eye on them. Yeah,
that's awesome. Good luck to the girls. All right, well, last show next week before the Christmas break, Les. So look forward to that. Many thanks to my co-host Les Edwards. Shout out to Bridie. Be driving around delivering everyone's present. Only if you're good, though. Only if you've been good. Otherwise, you just drive straight past. And thanks to Maria Howes, who's the regional tennis coordinator for the Nelson Tasman region. Great to chat to her. If you have any sports notices to push in the show, just comment on our Facebook page. Also, quite happy to hear from you if you want to come and have a chat. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.
What's on, where, and when? It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.